Welcome, everybody. This is the How to Break Free of Pornography 2024 guide by me, James O'Driscoll. So, who am I? Just like I said, my name is James O'Driscoll. I grew up in Ireland, not just Ireland, but the rural countryside where I felt extremely isolated in my teenage years, which most likely did not help with my own pornography addiction, which I will talk about in this. Currently, I'm 21 years old and I'm focused on leading other men in their own self development journey. I've created said guide in the hopes of bringing men away from their bad habits. So let's get into it. So, your current situation, I'm going to use this slide to identify where you are and what you can do to help yourself out. So, there's 3 levels, could have created more, obviously, but I just wanted to give a brief overlay of what I think is really, really bad and what I think is pretty damn good. Now, of course, it's all relative. If you're masturbating 20 times a week, then you need to start at level 1. You're not even on level 1. Some people are already on level 2. So, as I said, I just want to see where you are. So, level 1 is excessive porn and masturbation use. It's fapping 7 times a week, so every day. So this is what I was doing when I was coming home from school. It might not have been 7 times a week. It might have been around 5 times a week, maybe max 6, and maybe on 1 or 2 occasions 7 or 8. So I'd come home from school and I'd be very, very annoyed from both the day I've had at school and the day I would then have coming back home. I hated both my home and my school life. I couldn't bear it. And instead of doing my homework, I retired to the bathroom for around 20 to 30 minutes. And you can probably guess what happened in there. And then I would come out of there, feel awful, and get the bare minimum done before it was time for dinner, and then go back to bed where the cycle would continue. So I quit that, obviously. I'm going to teach you how. This is golden now. Make sure you write this shit down. So level 2 is no/almost no porn use, but still solo masturbating. You'd be fapping 3 to 4 times a week. So this is obviously better. I would encourage every single man, and I can go into a later video talking about this. I would encourage every single one of you, if your personal philosophy is that you want to masturbate a few times a week, go ahead. Go ahead. The results are what they are. It's your own body. It's your own choice. Blah, 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 blah. But porn is just so fucking destructive compared to the 80s or the 90s magazines that our parents, the other generation was used to. They don't have a single clue about how fucked this is to your brain. Like, this shit can absolutely destroy your drive. As a man, it'll just kill your testosterone because you're just ejaculating all the time. It's just the testosterone just disappears in the air. You're a fucking Houdini of testosterone because you just make it disappear all the time and you just feel like a worthless sack of shit. So, yeah, you see what you want to do and come back to me with the results. But if you're fapping 3 or 4 times a week, then yeah, obviously we want you to improve on that. So, level 3, where I'm at, Big Boy James, the top J, completely free from all pornographic use and no longer solo masturbating. So I'm 21 years old. I built myself a pretty aesthetic body. Within a couple of years, I'll have achieved my dream body. And I know that's a bit separate to this, but I just want to give you a little bit of context on me. 21 years old, and I've been dating my first ever girlfriend for 8 months. And the only time I will masturbate is during sex. If it's to do with the sex, I will never solo masturbate. I don't look at porn because I find that absolutely destroys my drive. So that's the current situation there. We want to get you to level 3. So my personal journey, a little bit about me. I told you I was struggling in school, had an unstable home environment, I was depressed. Now I'll go into a later video about this. Over the last couple of years, my mindset has been depression doesn't exist. If you're so-called depressed, just work harder. And to a degree, I still believe in that. But I'm getting much more mature over the last 18 months. And I've realized depression is a scientific phenomenon that has been studied. And technically, it does exist. You know, if I got my legs blown off, I'm probably going to be depressed for at least the next few months until I figure out a game plan. And decide the best path in my life from there on. Because you can't just quit, right? Life is continuous. It doesn't end. There is no finish line apart from dying. So you can't really just wait until you die, because then there's no point in living at all. That's my philosophy anyway. So yeah, I was depressed, but I never called myself depressed. And also depression wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So that word wasn't getting casually thrown around until at least another year or two. So yeah, I was depressed and I didn't realize it. And that's picture me there at 15. I just found it. I found it and cropped it there. Obviously, you can tell the face looking a lot nicer. I had terrible acne. It wasn't terrible, but it was moderately bad when I was younger, and I wasn't working out at all. I'm going to go deeper into this on the other slides as to why you should work out, but I wasn't working out at all. The only workouts I was doing was when I was in school, and once a week for, I think it was 2 hours, we would have a PE session. That was it. We walked down to the gym PE because it was separate from school. We work out there for 2 hours, and then we walk back, and that was it. I really looked forward to those gym sessions. I did, even though I was still like a lazy kid. And I realized subconsciously, whoa, this is actually really good for me. Unfortunately, it was only once a week, but yeah, really enjoyed those. So I was masturbating nearly every day and using pornography. This was the worst part of my life when I was 15, 16, 17. Just it was terrible. I've already talked about this now, but just, you know, you'd use the porn and then you just feel completely awful, and it just sucked, and I was stuck in a rut and I didn't understand how to get out of it. It took me a lot of time and effort. In the next slide, I'm gonna go into in depth how I beat that, so I can help you guys as well. But I had zero idea what I wanted to accomplish. I had no goals. No one was telling me, "Hey James, what do you want to do?" The only people in my ear were a couple of teachers, and we had a guidance counselor that would help us with what we wanted to accomplish in life. So I had a couple people nagging me, saying, "Oh, you need to go into engineering, you need to go into this," but no one actually genuinely asked me what I wanted and what I wanted to do in my life. It's just not a concern to secondary school teachers. They just want you to get a job. They don't actually want you. It blows my mind every time I think about it. Like I told this guidance counselor, right, and I'll go more into this. I told this guidance counselor, I think it was in my last year, 5th or 6th year of secondary school. I told her I wanted to be a rapper, and she hated that idea. Oh, well, not a lot of people win. It's very hard. Blah 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 blah. She didn't say, "Oh, that's great. You want to go into the music industry? Oh yes, absolutely. I'll support you. Here's a few music courses." No, just immediately, even though that was her job to support the students, immediately she just said, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea." And people wonder why I don't like the school system. So I felt like a failure. I was doing very bad in my classes because I was dumb. I was dumb as fuck because the porn was in my brain and I was viewing women like, I won't use these words, but just not a good view. I was still nice to people and I was still a good person, but these traits were taking over my life, and I was realizing I had to do something, had to figure out something fast. Needed results. I needed to do something. So I had no strong leader, no accountability partner in my life. That's just what it was, you know. Some of you might have really good, strong dads who teach you about masculinity, teach you about testosterone, teach you about working out, teach you about being a good person, having good morals, making money. And I just didn't. So that's that. Now, let's see here. How did I break free? The real question, which you all came here to know. The truth is, I rewired my brain. Well, James, how did you rewire my brain? Your brain. Thank you for asking. So it was in my last year of secondary school. I did my tests and I graduated. And oh, actually, so sorry, we need to go back before that. I won't cut this video. I want it to be very to the point and just me talking. But it was a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error. Oh my goodness, it's quite painful to think back on it. Mm. Yeah, a lot of trial and error. So I was probably like you. You might be at a different stage, but when I was young, I was using the internet and I was looking on YouTube how to break free of porn, how no fap, all that. I was in the subreddits. I was doing all this knowledge, all this typing. But the thing was, I was still masturbating every day. And what I found, and this is going to be very interesting, what I found was this thing called fasting. Now, I know it's a universal topic, but some people might not know what fasting is. Fasting is when you don't eat for a certain period. Now, I practice, and I'm a bit lazy with this, I'll be honest. I've only really just got back to it. But I practice intermittent fasting, which is where you basically have a meal around every 18 hours. Now, you can have like little snacks and stuff. Depends how strict you want to be with it. But that is the premise of intermittent fasting. Just one big meal after you've done all the work at the end of the day. And then you just keep doing that cycle. Because you work your best, you perform your best when you haven't eaten. Now, of course, I'm going to go to the gym later. After this video, I'm going to eat something filling. And then an hour later, I'll be in the gym. Because I want carbs, I want a little bit of glucose to get the muscles pumped for something like that. But I've also had experience working out fast, and that's been great. Regardless of that, I realized that I was so deep. Now, I say so deep. I was only using like 1 to 2 videos a day and then jerking off for 20 minutes, and that was it. So, of course, it's all relative. But I was so deep in my mind in porn addiction that I realized that I need something quite extreme. Now, this seemed to me to be the answer. So if I remember correctly, because it was so long ago, I did a 5-day fast. That's correct. I did a 5-day fast. I drank nothing but water. And I believe I used a little bit of table salt for the electrolytes. So I didn't fucking die. It was the weirdest time ever. I felt so spaced out. I was having energy crashes up and down. But I followed all the advice. I made sure I walked a lot, especially during the 48 to 72 hour period to get the system running, to burn any unnecessary fat that I had. And if I remember correctly, that 5-day fast cured me. Because what happens, and I'll make a separate video on this, what happens is that your brain, it just goes into survival mode. Right, it's no longer concerned with digital women because it almost understands. It's weird if you try this. It almost understands how ridiculous that is. It's like, why am I obsessed with this? Because now I'm being placed in a situation where I've got to eat something. I've got to kill. I've got to go hunt. I'm in survival mode. I got to do something. Now, the unfortunate part about when I did this 5-day fast is that I didn't actually have anything to do. I still had to help my father out a little bit of his work. We have a farm, and the funny thing was he was complaining. He was complaining that I was too weak to help him because it was true. I was fasting. You're not going to be super strong when you're 3 days into a 5-day fast. You're not. And now, of course, he didn't understand the ultimate goal. I was just explaining to my parents all the benefits of fasting. I wasn't necessarily explaining that I was breaking my porn addiction. They didn't understand, but I knew this was something I needed to accomplish in order to grow. So yeah, I did that, and I just carried on that momentum. On the fifth day, fifth morning, or whatever it was, I think it was the morning. I got up at 8, and I was just free. It was just total bliss. And from there on, I tried as many good habits as I could. I just um, I just kept my head down, tried very hard, study for my final exams, and that was it. So that's the truth. That's the secret. Um, fasting cured me. Yep. So we were my brain. Now, I've wrote this slightly incorrectly. I've realized this different time moments in my life. When I'm saying I started to work as much as possible, focusing what I knew would make me succeed, that's after 90 days when I left the school and I wanted to have a career in music. And I was also working a part-time job because it was the summer, and this was before I went into university, because I went directly into university after the summer. And what I did was I worked that part-time job, and I was working, I think it was like at least 8 hours a day. And then when I was finished, I would go home and I'd write music, and I would try record music. That didn't work. So I ended up having to use a studio. And any day I had off, I would get one of my parents to bring me to said studio and record there. So yeah, so my life revolved around working this job and recording and writing music. And then that's what really helped me focus and not be down. Because I could have said in my mind, woe is me, I have to work this part-time job. And, there's some aspects of it I didn't really like. And, I'm no girlfriend and all this and no money. Blah, blah, blah. But instead I just focused on something that helped me. And even though I'm not sure I'd say it was monumentous, was able to, at the time, release a project, and that made me feel really good. That made me feel really proud. I had accomplished something. So that was my first series of accomplishing goals that led me up to this point today, which is why I'm able to talk to you and I'm not dead with a bullet in my brain. So how did I break free? No longer thought about destroying my porn use. This is probably more applicable to you. Get rid of the victim mentality. You need to stop thinking about destroying your porn use, and you need to change your fucking brain and start thinking, oh, how can I run more? How can I lift more weight? How can I support my parents? How can I start a business? How can I do something that's way more productive? Because if you think about it, what is destroying your porn use? What is this no fat thing all about? It's about not doing something. How can you focus on not doing something? That doesn't make sense. Like it just like you do something else, right? You do something else that gives you the dopamine that you would have got from your porn use. So set yourself goals. It's not going to be easy, but set yourself goals and focus on them. And I promise you, it is 100 times easier than sitting there and just trying not to jerk off. 100 times easier. So when you build these good habits, after around 100, now I say it's 90, scientists say it's 90 days to rewire your brain to form a new habit. 45 to 90 anyway. But after around 100 to 250 days of no fap, I was finally free. I no longer felt any urges. I can, even right now, I don't know what it is, 1,500 days of no fap, I can remember maybe one video out of the thousands that I watched, and yeah, I just don't have any nightmares anymore. I just feel good. I need to check my testosterone, just for personal interest, but it's I'll assure you it's pretty damn high. So I feel good all the time. Now, what can you learn from my experience? When trying to quit any addiction, place heavy emphasis on physical workouts. This could be running, bodybuilding, CrossFit, cycling, etc. I've already basically explained this, but you might not have realized when I was trying to quit pornography and I was starting on day zero, right? Because I kept relapsing day zero, day zero, day zero, day zero. It was all mental. I didn't, the countryside was like country roads, so it was pretty dangerous to run, let alone walk on. So I only went running a few times. Um, when I was trying to, when I was trying to quit, it was all mental, which is awful because it places a terrible, terrible strain on your mind. You just become so caught up in, I better not masturbate, I better not masturbate, I better not masturbate, I better not. But if you started running, if you started working out immediately at that day zero, you'd be focused on, oh God, my legs are sore now. Oh, I better, I better take a bath to relax from having the workout. And then you take the bath, and then, oh, I better make sure, better make sure my nutrition is on point to benefit this workout. And you start doing all these other things that, in a sense, distracts you from wanting to masturbate. And as I said, after 90 days, you're done. And it says it at the bottom there. I put down, reaching 90 days is 90% of the mission. Now, of course, that's not science, evidence based. That's just my personal view. After 90 days, you're basically there, soldier. You just need to keep grinding. You just need to keep doing the right thing. And in a sense, it does get easier. It does get easier because I have a girlfriend now. I can have sex. And it's fantastic. It really is fantastic. And I hope you guys achieve that because it is quite a beauty of life to be a masculine man and have feminine energy around you. It's beautiful. So, as I've already said, destroy your victim mentality. This can be done through hard work, physical and mental. When I was finishing my secondary school education, I tried as hard as possible, as hard as I was possible. I was still distracted. I was still looking at YouTube. I was still in some way distracted. But I tried my very best to study for my Leaving Cert exams. And this allowed me to get into the college course I am at now, which I'm in my last semester, and then I'll have finished because that's what was important to me at the time. And that's everything. Now, I probably structured this a bit strangely. I'm probably sure there's loads of questions you guys want to ask me. If you found any value, if you want me to make more videos like this, explaining my life stories, anything I can help you with, let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you if you've watched this video to the end, or even if you watched a few minutes. If you left a like, if you left a dislike, or if you beat up your grandmother, because I'm just so sexy. That's what I make people do. So thank you. Thank you for watching.